Hi again. So this video is going to be my review of Across the Universe by Beth Revis, which I finished a couple of weeks ago, and I really enjoyed this book. I think I would give it a 9 out of 10, which from memory is the same mark that I gave 2 out of the 3 Hunger Games books. I can't remember which 2 off the top of my head, but I really loved it. So let's go on now. I have a full, you're not going to be able to see because of the horrible glare now I've moved everything. I've got a full page of notes of stuff that I really liked. Overall, I just thought this was a fantastic idea for a novel. I thought the story was really interesting. I get what some people have been saying, that Amy, who's the main character, does get kind of annoying, going on about Jason, her boyfriend that's on Earth, and it's like, oh, get over it, he's clearly dead by now, what the hell. For anyone who hasn't read the book, I will give a very brief kind of overview. It's about the main character Amy and her parents, who both work for various branches of the military, get cryogenically frozen and put onto a spaceship that is sent off to a new planet that is called Centauri Earth, which is 300 years away. So people are cryogenically frozen so that they can survive the journey, and then when they get to Centauri Earth they will be thawed, I guess, for want of a better phrase, so that they can start populating this new planet. And 50 years before they're supposed to get there, Amy gets unplugged and unfrozen, and several other people start to be unplugged, and no one knows why. They're being viewed as attempted murders, essentially, and no one knows why they're happening or who is behind it, and so that's kind of where we join the story. That is kind of pretty much all I can say, in the confidence that it won't contain any spoilers. So if you don't want anything spoiled, stop now and come back to the rest of this video when you've read the book, which I, by the way, thoroughly recommend that you do. Okay, so those of you that have stayed for the spoilers, oh my god, there's just so much stuff in this book. So some really interesting ideas that are thrown out there are things like the fact that they've got no idea what they're going to find on Centauri Earth when they get there. They've sent probes out and it seems to be habitable, but other than that they have no idea, and I just thought that was quite interesting, that they're essentially blindly going on this mission and they have no idea what's going to happen when they get there. Is just mind-blowing. Beth Revis does a great job of just expressing how claustrophobic the environment is through just how claustrophobic Amy feels about it, but there were some real times when I felt quite sort of almost like the walls were closing in. You just wanted to kind of get out of whatever situation she was in and just go and get some space. And I think Beth Revis executed that kind of idea very well. I liked the Aristotle quote that was put in on a plaque in the recorder hall, and the quote is, "If you would understand anything, observe its beginning and its development." I thought that was a really good quote, and it kind of sums things up quite well with what you find out later. The revelation quite late on from memory. I know some people have had problems with the pacing of this book, but I quite liked it. I very much like to know where we are and who our characters are and how they all kind of weave together and everything, and then you can kind of move on to the story. So I don't mind these kind of info dump kind of books. I know some people think it makes it feel a bit sort of claggy and not very smooth flowing, but I personally don't mind that. So the revelation quite late on that this whole plague that they've been going on about, completely fabricated, never happened, just a huge civil war, that I just didn't see coming at all. Oh, and I should have said this before, I really liked that the chapters alternate between Amy and Amy and Elder, just because there were quite a few times where I really wanted to kind of, I'd look at it and go, oh, I'll finish this chapter and then I'll put it down and go and do something else, or I'll just finish this bit and then I'll turn the light off and go to sleep. And there were a lot of times where it just left you on such a kind of right in the middle of something at the end of a chapter with one of them. You had to read through the next one just to find out what was happening again. I thought that was a really good, it kept the pacing quite good. Another revelation, the fact that they're so far behind in their schedule. Also, I didn't really see that coming. 300 years is a long time. So everything that you're being told, you think could feasibly happen in that length of time. And then the clues that you start to get that actually maybe they've been in this ship a lot longer than they think they've been there, and then the revelation that they're 250 years behind their schedule was just, I felt their complete soul-destroying disappointment that it was just all crumbling apart. But then the way that Eldest was controlling them and the hormones in the water to keep people quite almost sedated, so people wouldn't riot. It threw up a lot of really interesting moral questions to me, because as you're reading it, obviously as the reader, you're meant to think as Amy and Elder are thinking, and kind of going, oh my god, that's terrible, how could you be doing this against, these people don't really know what's going on, how can you be keeping secrets? But then when you've got time to process it, it does raise some really interesting questions, like if I was in control of that ship and these were the sorts of issues that we were dealing with, what is the best way to stop a ship of 1,000 or so people rioting and killing each other? So I really enjoyed it on that level as well. I really enjoyed the fact that some of the Earth history, or the Soul Earth history, was twisted, and like the I'm English, so I'm not really sure how you say it. The Gettysburg Address, had kind of changed through. Obviously, over the years, people have kind of changed the meaning of it, and saying that. I want to say it's Abe Lincoln. Sorry, any Americans watching this. Wanted to eradicate differences, and the way that that's been twisted to the people on Godspeed on the ship, the way that they've decided to interpret that, whereas obviously in its original format it was meant as the abolishment of slavery, all men are created equal, that sort of thing, and the way that that's been completely turned on its head for the sake of this ship, I just thought was just, there were just so many things that happened, and I just kind of thought, why have I never thought of these sorts of things and written it in a book? And it was just brilliant. When Harley had just had enough and went out of that hatch, I was actually really quite sad about that. It was like when oh no, what's her name? Not Prim. What's the name of the girl that dies in Hunger Games? No, I never wrote it down in any of my notes. But if you've read the Hunger Games, you'll know what I mean. When they're in the first arena, and Katniss allies herself with the girl that's like 12, who's the same age as her sister, whose name is Prim. It's going to annoy me so much that I can't remember this other character's name. And she ends up dying. It was like that with Harley. It was one of those just kind of, I thought he was going to be a really central character, and now you've taken him away. I think that's pretty much it. Like I say, it has been a few weeks since I finished the book, and I've just not had time to put this review up. I'm really sorry. So this is why it's a little bit stagnant, because I can't remember stuff. But I really recommend this book. Try to ignore the cover, because it's not a story like this. As the Dweeb92 said in her video, on the American cover, it's this on one side and a schematic of the ship on the inside, so you can change the cover around. And in the UK version, we're given it like this to kind of expect the story to be like this, and it is really a lot more like this. It's a lot more sort of sci-fi dystopia than it is sci-fi romance in any way, I guess you would say. So I'm really looking forward to the sequel, which is, I believe, called A Million Suns, which will be out either late this year or early 2012. I'm really interested to see how Elder is going to develop as a character and a leader, and just generally where the next two books in this trilogy are going to take us. Are they ever going to get to Centauri Earth? What will they find if they do get there? Oh, there are so many questions, but I really, really enjoyed the book. If you've not read it, then really do check it out. Try and get past the first few chapters where it's sort of, that seems to be the bit that people find the slowest, just because it's kind of setting everything out for you. But it's really worth it. Excellent book. 9 out of 10. I'm looking forward to the sequels. I'm going to shoot a bookshelf tour at some point in the next couple of hours, I think, and upload it in the next few days. So if you are interested, then I hope you check that out. And I will make these a more regular thing for at least the next week until I get really busy. And I will see you guys soon. I hope you're all well and have a good day.